All right, today on Knee Brace Radio, we welcome a very special guest, 11-year Major League Pro, 16-game winner, founder of the 60 Feet 6 Foundation, uh, Derek Holland, aka Dutch Oven. How are you, sir? How you doing, man?
What's going on, guys? That's a nice little intro you gave me there. Pretty pumped about that.
Yeah, I do my research a little bit.
Well, I
Quick
mean,
little Wikipedia session before.
I was gonna say I can help you with a little bit though. I know it said would you say 11 years?
Yeah.
So this will be my 13th season though. So it'd be technically I'm right at 12 years. I'm just
Okay.
a month because I got released by the White Sox, but trust me, nobody cares. It was my one thing I wanted to at least have fun with there because when somebody gives you an intro, you got to be able to have some fun with it too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you got a nice little wall behind you of nice paraphernalia. You got whose boxing gloves are those?
So let's see. To my right is going to be Joe Frazier. Actually, nope, that's the Or wait, yeah, that's Joe Frazier. To my left is Manny Pacquiao. And then I made Team USA. So Warrior made me some Team USA gloves, the Michael Scott cleats, and then I got Roberto Luongo over to my left, Jerry Rice, Matt Ryan, Barry Sanders, Dan Marino, John Elway, Mike Tyson, Jamie Benn. I mean, there's stuff all over the place. I got a broken bat from Mike Trout up there when I faced him.
Gonna want to hang on to that bad boy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm a big collector. I mean, it's funny. Like when I talk to some people, they're like, yeah, I'm a fan. I love sports and all this, and I collect so much. I do the exact same thing. So I'm just like them. I've got jerseys in my closet of guys that I've played against. I've got jerseys from football players, hockey. I mean, I've got all kinds of stuff. I'm a memorabilia dude. I hoard. I mean, I've got even, I'm a huge Batman fan. I've got Christian Bale on Batman stuff. I've got, I'm trying to think of all the other guys. I mean, I've got Game of Thrones stuff signed. I mean, I've got it up there. Iron Man's my other favorite character, so I've got his little the chess piece,
That's
whatever you
fucking
want to call it,
sweet.
his little heart. I got that signed. Stan Lee, who does the drawings for Batman and stuff, I've got him signed. I got Adam West on the original Batman before he passed away. So I mean, I've got
You got it all, man.
collection. Yeah, I'm a hoarder just like you guys. This is why it's fun to be able to sit here and have these kind of conversations with people because I'm just like you.
I know. I aspire to have like a wall of memorabilia behind me because, like, as you can see, it's a pretty
Right now,
pretty blank slate right now. So
Yeah.
yeah,
you could have a good excuse of just saying like you're moving or something. You just got into this place. Wait, hold on. What's over your right shoulder?
my right, this one.
That's your
Probably an empty cabinet.
That's your
It's a
left shoulder, by the way.
what's that?
That's your left shoulder.
Oh, my right shoulder. Oh no, this is my mic.
Well, no, I mean it's like over. Like it looks like it's in the corner.
Like it might be by your door. Do you have like a mini basketball hoop on your door?
No,
Yes, there
no,
you go.
no.
That's what it looks like.
Oh, that's an Ohio State flag. Ohio State flag.
Oh God. All right, never mind.
This interview's over.
Yeah, I'm done with that. I got the Wolverine head like literally right above my head.
Yeah, that's fair.
Well, Michigan's not looking too great. So, what are your thoughts on them going forward?
You know what? I'm very happy to see McNamara, I think is how you say his name, the quarterback step in. I think that's huge for Michigan going forward. Joe Milton had his time. It was time to switch. I think Harbaugh did good with that. Now it's just, for me, in my opinion, this is just me saying this. If Harbaugh wants to stay at Michigan, he's got to beat Ohio State now. I mean, other than that, I think it's done, especially after how this season's gone. I mean, I'm a diehard fan, man. I want to see our defense, step it up. That's one thing that I see we're getting burnt on the corners, and it's just things like that. But I know that these kids are working their asses off. So I'm not going to sit here and be, Debbie Downer and say my team is absolute trash or any of that stuff. That's not me. I believe in those guys. It's just, it's a transition that we have to go through. You got a lot of young talent out there that's trying to get themselves out there, make their names known, and the anxiety can probably get to them. So it's kind of good that maybe we don't have the fans in the stand at the moment. It's kind of like what I talk about with the rookies is, these guys don't get to really experience a true debut, when you get to the big leagues and stuff and have the fans booing you, telling you suck or cheering for you when you have a great game. That's one of the things that these guys are lacking. So it goes same thing with Michigan. They don't have that same intensity of the fans to feed off of, whether it's home or away. So, I mean, it's a young team. I know the expectations are super high. And as a Michigan fan, yes, they are. They're always going to be super high with a program that is. Yeah, you want that. And I hope to see things change defensively and go from there. I mean, I think now you just got some momentum with the new quarterback coming in, and he had 5 touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken, and it was either 5 touchdowns and 1 rushing, so it'd be 6, or it was 4 and 1, so it'd be 5. But that I know it's Rutgers, but they didn't quit. I mean, they did the same thing when they were playing against Ohio State. Yeah, it wasn't that close, but they fought. They never gave up. Every team that they've played, they've been into it for the most part. So I don't know. It's just to me, I think it's a good momentum swing heading into the next week.
So I might be an Ohio State fan, and you might be a Michigan fan, but I think we can both agree that it's fucking sweet that Penn State's 0-5.
Yeah, I could agree with that. The only thing that kind of sucks too right now, though, is Michigan State's got 1 win, and it's against Michigan.
Yeah, it does hurt.
That's tough. That hurts.
The little brother beat up on the big brother today.
So you mentioned the rookies and not getting a true debut. Do you think that played at all into Arozarena, the guy on the Rays that set the postseason home run record? Do you think that plays at all into that? Because I mean, for me, he was relatively unknown coming into this season, and by the end of it, he has postseason records.
Yeah, I mean, it probably does make a factor into this whole thing. I'm not going to take away the talent. The kid's freaking good. So you don't know. Maybe it could have been intensified. Maybe he does, more into the damage of the home runs and getting on base and everything. Or maybe it goes the opposite way of what you said. So the crowd can dictate many things. And that's why it's kind of tough to sit here and give an answer when you don't know necessarily yet how that kid's going to react to the fans cheering for him, booing him, whatever the case may be. I mean, I don't know. From watching him, the kid's talented. So I don't think it's going to matter what happens, whether there's crowd or no crowd. He was doing the damage he did.
So do you think that the emotions change a little bit? I know you said that they don't get a true debut. Do you still think that they would have, a good amount of jitters coming out to the mound or stepping up to their first plate appearance for a rookie? Or do you think it is like tamed down completely and it's like way different than what you experienced?
It's tamed down, I would say 100%. But here's one thing I want to ask you guys that would help answer this question too, is you get called up to the big leagues. You can't have your family, your wife, your girlfriend, whatever the case may be, it is. You can't have your family there at all. You have nobody in the stands cheering for you or anything like that. Do you think that's going to have you calmer, or do you think you're going to be, feeling a little bit anxious, or however you want to put it? Like, how would you feel? Because that's, before you answer, though, I'm going to give my answer too, is that's the thing that these kids don't like. I know I keep repeating myself on this, but these guys don't get the true experience, the true feeling of what it's like when you run out onto that field and the stadium just erupts. I'm talking the first inning, guys going out to the mound, as a starter, they're playing your walkout music, and you go out there and the ball's just waiting for you to be picked up on the rubber, and then you're getting ready to tow it and face, whoever it is. For me, I'm trying to think of my debut, but it was against Scott Rowland. Your heart's racing and you're excited to be out there. And the only thing for me that I can attest to, though, is my debut was in Toronto, and my parents don't have they do now, but they didn't have a passport at the time, so they weren't able to make it. They were able to see me in Texas when I was there for the first 3 days, but I didn't throw. So that doesn't do anything. I think one thing that Texas did for me that helped, and I know I'm rambling because I want to hear your answers as well, but Wash and JD, John Daniels, did such a good job of having me there and keeping me out of big situations. And unfortunately, we never had a situation to where I could get into a game until I was really forced to get into it, which was in Toronto in extra innings. And, those are the things that I think that just being around those guys, getting the feel of what they're doing, how to prepare, go from there. Because, I came up as a starter, got called up into the big leagues. I was a reliever for the first 2 or 3 months, and then I went back to starting. But it's like that they molded me into that, and I'm truly grateful for that. But again, I want to ask you guys, though, if you had that same situation, you get called up, you have no fans in the stand, no family, how do you think you're going to feel? Because your answer is pretty much going to be, I feel like, dictating the exact same answer that these guys felt and went through.
So I think for me, at least, like I played Division II baseball. I barely played at all when I was there, but I did back up some guys that got drafted and one guy that's in the MLB. I think it would be better for me to not have to worry about my friends or family being there. That way I'm not having to think about like, oh, well, shit, I got to get them to the game. I got to get them tickets. Are they going to be at will call? Are they actually going to be able to make it? And like, think about those outside distractions where I can kind of at least get to know some of the guys on the team, maybe that I don't know, and just get there and kind of not have to worry about it. That's how I would look at it.
Nick, before you say something, though, I do want to say this, though, is you made a great comment that happens a lot is tickets.
Mm-hmm.
So for a young guy that's just getting called up, I'm not going to lie, that's probably the last thing he wants to be thinking about is, do I have enough tickets? Did I leave enough tickets for everybody?
Yeah.
Everybody take care of, because that's a big day, a big moment. So it's
exactly. You don't want to be leaving people out.
Oh, yeah. It can be stressful on its own. But yeah, go ahead, Nick. Sorry.
No, you're fine. And for me, it's pretty similar answer where, you know, I would feel the pressure of letting down my family, or I'd feel the pressure of, having to show out for my family. Um, and if it, it just isn't your day that day, then, you had that debut in front of your friends and family and they saw you shit the bed. And for me, having that having a sterile environment where, it's, no fans, just me and the other team, I feel like, it sort of takes a lot of stressors away from it.
I do want to add, though, when you're with nobody there, you can hear everything.
Yeah.
So if I'm facing you guys and you want to talk shit to me, trust me, I'm going to hear it. And one of the things that I always am curious about too is some of these kids let that shit get in. And what people don't realize is this game is mental. Like whatever you want to put percentage wise, it's mental majority. Because I mean, you got to be able to handle the trash talk, the everything, the adversity, whatever happens. Like it's funny to see how when people were doing good, how they walk around, they're feeling good, everything's going their way. But then as soon as something bad happens and they start shitting the bed, they're doing bad. Like it's funny to see the difference between the two people. And one thing that I've always learned, and I got it from, the veteran guys that I play with, is no matter how good you are or how bad you are, you need to carry yourself the exact same. And for me, it's just, why not carry yourself like you're doing good no matter what? I mean, I've been on some losing teams and I've been on some winning teams. And the thing that I've noticed about both of them is the way that they carry themselves. I played, for instance, with the White Sox, and we were probably one of the worst teams in the league. But I guarantee you the way that Rick Renteria and the pitching staff and everybody, all those guys in there, like way that they carried themselves, you would have thought we were a first place team because we kept it loose. Like we knew we were talented. We just, there's things that we weren't getting done. We get it. But we didn't go out there every day going, well, here we go. We're losing again. It's just another loss. Like, no, we continued to fight every single time. It's a team that's like memorable to me is like that. Or for instance, this year with the Pirates, like I get it. We were a last place team, but dude, that was one of the most fun teams I've ever been a part of. Like showing up to the field every day. These guys wanted to win. They wanted to compete. And it's not, those guys weren't just sitting there going, well, here we go. We're going through the motions. Like we had fun. And unfortunately, yes, we lost, but you know what? We competed every single day, and our staff, like, this is when you got to give the credit to the staff too. They made sure every single day we were out there ready to go, ready to play. Nobody was out there just going through the motions. Like we competed every single time.
What percent would you say that baseball is mental versus physical? Like I always said it was 80-20 mental. Cause if you're between your ears, it's like, there's no way you're going to do well.
Yeah, I would say you're probably right. 80-20 for sure. I mean, it's the mental side can eat you up, man. And it's like that in real life though. Everyday life, like the mental side of things can eat you up.
I have a question about the minor league mental side. So you were a JUCO product, correct? So I have some friends that had older brothers that played at Vandy and they played big time SEC ball. And then once they got drafted, some of these guys were second, third round picks. They were immediately complaining about the travel and, the food and everything. Do you think playing JUCO ball and maybe not having the greatest accommodations helped you start out in the minors, like used to being on long bus rides, used to eating peanut butter and jellies and shit food?
I think that's just, in my opinion, like that's high maintenance. I mean, I wasn't around guys that were like that. Like we were grateful for everything we had. I mean, yeah, I'm not going to sit here and act like we never were like, oh man, we're getting peanut butter and jelly. Like that's just kind of how it is. Like you got to understand the budget. Like you're thinking in a different way because you got to manage your money. You're not making, the money that you make in the big leagues. You're making bare minimum that you got to try to make last. Like you got to find ways. And it's to me, I think it got me a lot closer with my teammates and stuff. Cause we were always together. We were trying to figure out ways to take care of each other, I guess, is the way with like when it came to money and all that stuff. And to me, I didn't care. Nobody cared about the bus rides because, I mean, you looked at what was going to happen. Like, all right, well, we got a long bus ride. You know, it's basically our motorized Uber, so we can go ahead and have some fun, have some drinks with the boys, and hang out, play cards, whatever the case may be. So it's not. I don't know. I get where you're coming from by hearing that, but to me, those people are just ungrateful for the opportunity. Then, if they're bitching about traveling, like it could be worse. I mean, that's the only way I
Exactly.
can look at it. So I was
Yeah.
grateful for every opportunity that I got, and I made sure I made the most of it too.
Yeah, I had a friend that got drafted, and it was, I guess, like 2015 or 16. And he was like complaining about having to do base running drills. And I was like, you know what I'm doing? I'm selling internet right now. So like it could be a lot worse, man. Like I'm sitting working 4 p.m. to 1 a.m. selling internet over the phone. So I'd rather be doing base running drills in 90-degree heat in Florida.
Well, I mean, one of the things too is if you want to be great, you got to train like somebody that wants to be great. Like you can't be just sitting here bitching about doing the typical easy stuff. Like this game's kind of lost some of its small game, the small ball. You don't see as much bunting and all the small ball. You watch Japanese baseball and they play a lot of the small ball. They don't care if you're, I'm probably exaggerating a little bit, but if you're Babe Ruth, like you're going to drop a bunt down if we need to. We're going to play the small ball so we can get the runs. And I think that's one of the things that we've kind of gotten away from a little bit, but at the same time, we're playing the numbers game now. We're playing the analytics crap, and that's just how it is. But for me, I think it's if you want to do great, you got to practice great. You got to work hard. You got to do all the small things to achieve those big goals and do all that. I'm not sitting here acting like I'm some Hall of Famer because I know I'm not, but I put my work in every single day to try to get better, no matter what it takes. And I mean, to be able to play as long as I have been, like. I'm in like the top, I don't know what it is, like the top 10% or something crazy. I can't think of what it is to play 10 years. Like that's not something that's just easily done. It takes time and it takes work and it takes doing all the small things, whether it's the PFPs or the multiple bullpens, the flat grounds, the, working on each pitch and the grips, like constantly changing. Those are the things. And people like to hear you say that somebody's bitching about the busing and doing the sprint work and all that stuff. They're not going to last. That's and I mean, that's just me. Who knows? They might go out there and show out and play for 20 years, but it's the guys that put that work in. It's nobody just, I promise you, guys like the Mike Trout and the other guys don't just sit there and be like, all right, let's go play. And then boom, I'm going to hit 4 home runs. Wow, it was that easy. I promise you, those guys work.
Yeah.
So to play off Kyle's previous question a little bit, he mentioned you were a JUCO product. You're also a pretty late round pick, the 25th round. You know, working your ass off and eventually getting to the majors, did that, like being that late round pick, did that sort of just make it that much sweeter, for you to finally make it and be like, dude, I'm not supposed to be here, but here I am. And do you think that plays into, your work ethic? And because, you weren't, by all accounts, you're not supposed to be there.
I mean,
But you're there and you just work your ass off and you earn it every day.
just by you saying that, it's just the motivation itself.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that I always looked at too is obviously, like you said, I got drafted in 25th round. I remember showing up and the guy that I call my dad now, Keith Comstock, like saw me and was just kind of like in awe, like, what do we have you here for? Like he thought I was going to stay in rookie ball. And I actually got called straight up to short season. And I remember getting there and he couldn't believe I was there. And that's when it like hit me like, I got to really do something here. I got to make a name for myself. I got to push myself. And then you have like the guys that did show up for the most part, some of the guys that got drafted that year, or they were already there, they're prospects. And see, I wasn't a prospect until after my first year. And it's because of that. Like I saw, such and such was number 5 prospect. And then you look at me and it's like, well, where am I at? And then you see it as, okay, they see me as the 69th overall prospect. Like, okay, now I see where I'm at. And now I got to figure out how can I outwork this guy or how can I outwork this guy? So you had to use those kind of motivation to kind of push you. I mean, that's the thing with like everything, as corny as it sounds. Like, did you guys ever watch that Michael Jordan documentary?
Yeah. The Last Dance.
Yeah. I couldn't think of what it was called, where, somebody would just piss him off and that was it. Like, okay, now it's on. Like it could be something as, I forget what he did. Like I'm exaggerating, but it was like, oh, the guy tripped and fell right in front of me and talked shit as he went down. That fired me up. I'm not letting him do that. So I'm going to beat him. it's the same kind of concept. Is Jim Boogerloo is the number 3 prospect and he's walking around like his shit don't stink. I need to show him that I can get in front of him. Like, it was just a motivational thing to kind of try to outwork that guy without this sounding like I'm trying to be like Michael Jordan. I wasn't. It was just, that's how you would see things. That's how you motivated yourself to get better, is you just looked at what these guys were doing, who you're going up against, and believing in yourself and being able to have that confidence that you could beat them. I mean, going back to the mental side of the game, one of the hardest things to do in this game, period, is trusting your stuff. I'll never forget hearing that from Mike Maddox. He's like, I mean, I'm going to say this a lot about a lot of these people, but these guys are like fathers to me, because the way that they molded me and taught me the game and how to do things. It's like, as I continue to get older and older, I start seeing more and more of what they talked about. And it's crazy how that works. And those guys continue to push me and motivate me. And that's why you don't let whatever slot you got picked in. Cool. We all still got the same ticket, and that's to play for, at that time, the Texas Rangers. Now you got to try to figure out, there's 25 spots on that roster, and there's 1,000 guys trying to compete for that 25 spots. What are you going to do to get that 25 spot, 25th, whatever, one of those 25 spots? And then once you did get it, so for instance, once I got, to the big leagues in 2009, now I've got one of the 25 spots. What am I going to do to keep my 25th spot?
Mm-hmm. Do you think how the MLB handled this year's draft was fair, having it shortened so much?
No, that sucks, man. The whole thing, the whole COVID, everything, all this sucks. There's a lot of things that are getting taken away from people, experience wise, business wise. Like, I'm not trying to get into the whole political side of this, but it's a shitty situation, and it sucks that what's going on with the economy and people's experience. Like, sports are kind of the last thing we should really worry about when it comes to the pandemic side of things. I mean, if anything, I would say the sports are just a distraction to try to keep people happy and motivated, so we're not getting into these dark places and such like that.
Yeah. I said this a while back, but I said every announcer is going to have a field day with, oh, this guy was an undrafted free agent. It's like, well, he would have been a 15th round pick. Like, he's not like some Joe Schmo that they found at some high school in the middle of Arkansas. It's like, this guy was a legit MLB, a legit prospect.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And it's also taken away, like, for instance, a guy like myself, who's a 25th rounder, like, that guy could be out there. Now he's getting to pick where he wants to go. That was one of the things I got to see too, is I don't know when the round stopped or any of that stuff, because I don't pay attention to too much of it until those guys are, they've signed and stuff, because I'm not going to worry about, Joe Schmo who got drafted but then doesn't sign. It's like, well, I've spent time trying to figure out who this kid is to make him feel comfortable. But even then, you don't even really see him to begin with. I mean, it's very, very rare that somebody gets drafted and all of a sudden they're in the big leagues. This isn't like the NBA or NFL or hell, even the NHL. Like, they go through the whole minor league process for the most part.
Yeah.
The top rounders, definitely don't. But it's just one of those things, like, I don't know. I don't pay attention to it too much, but it just sucks is, we all got that experience. And again, we're going right back to where we were just talking about, even the baseball side of it, is these guys don't get that full experience. Like, whether it was playing in the major leagues, making their debut, or getting drafted, like, you didn't get to experience the real thing.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So, of all the teams that you've been on, because I guess we could say you're a little bit of a journeyman, but you played most of your career in Texas, where you were drafted. Does that 2011 team where you guys went to the World Series and really contended with the St. Louis Cardinals, does that team stick out to you above the rest, or is there a team elsewhere that sort of sticks out more?
I mean, the team even before 2010, we went to the World Series then too. So that was a good squad. 2011 is definitely going to be the team that had the best chance. I think, looking back, even in 2010, I mean, we just ran into a really hot San Francisco Giants. That's kind of how it is. I mean, if you look at, I think even the next year, weren't the Cardinals a wild card team as well?
Believe so.
Not sure.
I mean, yeah. Well, we can find out or whatever, but you put that into to factor too, is it's all momentum. We were definitely hot. They were hot. And it just went, if you look at the games, I mean, it was back and forth battles each game, except for really the one game that got away, and that's it. But, both of us, we were literally the best teams. That's how you got to look at it. We were the best team in the American League 2 years in a row. That's the plain and simple thing. Did we win it all? No. Did we compete? Yes. There's no doubt about that. And those teams were definitely a lot of fun. I've played with a lot of great teams. Both, even if they were bad teams, they were still great teams to be around. That's the one thing that I can say I've truly gotten blessed with is I didn't have any bad teammates or anything like that. Like, yeah, we've had winning teams and losing teams, but man, every group that I was with, we wanted to be at the yard. And that was one of the coolest things. Like I said, even like to this day, I'm 34 years old and I still show up to the field so excited to play like I did when I first got drafted and I first got called up to the big leagues. Like there's always that enjoyment. And, I like sitting here saying as I'm driving up, if I'm doing a Instagram or a Twitter or whatever it is, I'm putting it out there. This is my office. And then it's like, the stadium that I'm at. Whoops. Not expecting that. But that's the, you gotta have some fun with that. It's a
Hell yeah.
Well, you said everybody likes to cuss on yours, so I'm just going to be the guy that like burps and farts on yours.
No worries, man.
There's a market for that.
Yeah.
But it's just, being able to have that dream as a little kid to be where you are now and still have that same enjoyment, that same excitement every single day you come to the field. And that to me, like, I'm going to keep playing as long as I possibly can. And, hopefully, I improved my game. I know the one thing that hurt me from last year was just my ERA. I look at a lot of my numbers and I know people like to criticize me as, oh, well, you had a 16 ERA and, you're giving up some home runs. Well, yeah, no shit. I'm going to give up some home runs, but I'm going to also get some outs too. Like I did really well. I felt like my strikeout rate was up. My walks were down. I thought everything was where it needed to be. It's just a couple games. What sucks is people don't realize is when you go in as a starter, you have one bad game and all of a sudden you become a reliever. You don't get those same amount of innings to bring that shit back down. And people just sit there and they look at that and they're like, you suck. You've got a 36 ERA. Okay, cool. Well, you clearly don't know anything about baseball. So whatever. But I just think as I sidetrack a little bit there, I looking back at all the teams and everything, there's not a bad team that I've been with. It's been such a great group of dudes all the way through minor leagues and everything.
So I have two rapid fire questions to play off of you talking about your teammates and, stadiums being your office. Who's your favorite teammate that you've played with? And I know it's a tough one. Yeah. And what's your favorite stadium to not necessarily pitch in, but just to go visit as a fan or just to be on the field of?
Man, favorite teammate. It's kind of tough, man. I've got so many and I'm going to name a few, but I'm not kidding. You can't, it's
impossible to name just one.
Because like a guy that I was really close with that, I wish he was still playing. I know he had some injuries to him was Matt Harrison. He was such an awesome dude. Great pitcher. I felt bad for the things that had happened to him with his back. Cole Hamels has been like a brother to me. Helped me out with a lot of things when we played together in Texas. Cliff Lee was a great teammate. Showed me a lot of things. Adrian Beltre, Shin-Soo Choo. Josh Bell, Anthony Rizzo. John Lester. There's so many guys that I've played with that Brandon Belt's probably one of my favorites too. He's a hilarious guy. Bumgarner was actually
also a funny looking dude. Funny looking dude.
Belt?
Yeah, Brandon Belt. Funny looking dude.
I'm going to make sure he sees that and you can tell him.
Well, if we're talking about that, I would like to say I did record a 4-3 put out against Josh Bell when we were in high school. So if you want to bring that up too, you can bring that up.
Well, if he's watching this at some point, he's going to already hear that from you. So, like just looking back, like I've played with so many great dudes on this team, like talented too, like future Hall of Famers, everything. There's, one guy that I really enjoyed just watching the way he went about his business was Bumgarner. That dude works hard. He works on, it's weird to watch how his bullpens are versus mine. But like each guy is different, but he's a quadrant guy. So he spends time, in each little section. It's cool to watch. The guy puts in the work and that's why he is the way he is. He's a very serious guy too. Longoria was a great dude. I'm just trying to look at like every team I played for. Rodon, Pelfrey was a veteran guy that I got to play with that he would crack you up in a heartbeat. There's just so much. Todd Frazier, the Todd father. That's definitely one of my favorites.
Don't get Kyle started on Todd Frazier.
he's a good friend. I mean, it's just finding these relationships that we build with these guys, and it's cool to just be able to have that camaraderie with each other. So it's too hard to answer when everybody always asks me like, what's your favorite team you played for? What's your favorite teammate? Like you can't answer it. I mean, if somebody really says they have one favorite teammate, they either weren't really close with anybody else ever, or they're just lying to you. Because
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard, man. There's no way I can pick something. Ballpark wise, I always enjoyed Wrigley and Fenway Park. The history, you feel it when you walk into those stadiums. You know, being able to play as a Cub, like there is nothing more honorable because of the true history of that team. Same thing with the Giants, going there and you're seeing the historic players, seeing Willie Mays. You know, that it's just unbelievable what you're experiencing. Going to Seattle is definitely a fun park. It's beautiful. Minnesota is a beautiful park. There, it's too hard to really just pick a certain one because each one has its own like vibe to it, I guess is the way to put it. Like it's just when you show up, you feel, you know, whatever the case is when you're there. You know, I think being here in Texas too, playing as a Ranger and watching when guys would come into the ballpark during the summer months, like they bitch so much about how hot it was. And it's like, yeah, we already know, dude. So, I mean, each park has its own strengths and weaknesses. You know, there's playing in Tampa, you can lose the ball when it goes up into the ceiling. It's still a cool looking park when you're there. Oakland, it's just got so much room. Like it's a huge ballpark. And if they could, you know, fill that whole entire thing up like they did in the playoffs, that place would be loud, very
Absolutely,
loud.
yeah.
So it's just cool. It's the atmosphere. It's what each place brings to the table. That's really it.
Yeah, so just wrapping up here, as I've told you before, we're doing a little bit of a merch sale right now. We're selling, not much, but you know, we're a small show. We're selling stickers, and all of the proceeds, well, a portion of the proceeds are going to support the 60 Feet Six Foundation, which is your foundation, supporting childhood leukemia, and the fight against childhood cancer. If you could just plug that a little bit and go into, you know, what's that all about for you, that'd be great, and then we can get you out of here.
Well, there's no rush to get me out, so don't have to do that. So for me, the whole thing, I'm just going to give like the whole rundown of how this all came about was, uh, gosh, when I had knee surgery in 2014, right before I got hurt, Ben and Skin, one of the radio stations here, asked me if I would come down to the station. There's a little boy there who wants to meet a Dallas athlete, you know, and they picked me. They figured my personality, it's perfect fit. Like you guys will hit it off. So I was like, okay, cool. I didn't know anything about what was going on. And then I got to meet Briggs, was his name, Briggs Berry. He's out here in Dallas, and the kid was just like a bright light of just energy and just joy. Like it was just such a cool kid. Like, you know, I had no idea. You know, I just thought he was just a kid wanting to meet a baseball player. I'm going to show him around, have a good time, you know, let him just live, you know, have a little fun with it. And then when I got in there, they introduced me. And before I got in, Ben started telling me what was going on, what this kid was all about. And I kind of was like, okay, cool. Like, I like this. This will be cool. So I ended up meeting the kid and I found out, you know, everything about him. He's going through his cancer treatments and everything. And uh, from there, I want to say it was the following year, he started to go through his treatments. We continue to go grow closer and closer. And one of the hardest things that I got to like first experience was because I never got to really be around this. You know, I got to watch Michael Young do his charity events and I would go there and be a part of them, but I never seen, I guess you could say, the behind the scenes. And so this was my first experience. And so Deanna, which was Briggs's mom, asked me if I wanted to come see Briggs while he's in the hospital. So I was like, yeah, no big deal. I didn't know what I was getting into. And to this day, I would never change anything. I mean, this changed my life big time. So I got to see Briggs at the hospital, talk to him for a little bit. And it was like getting to the point to where I was being told that we're not going to be able to like hang around. Like he's going to be in isolation. He's going to be in his own little glass room, however you want to put it. So I was like, okay. And then right before he started doing that, he would come and hang out. He would go play 9 holes of golf. Go do treatment, play 9 holes of golf, and then he'd come over to the house and hang out. Well, we'd play like basketball, PlayStation, whatever he wanted. Like that was it. And finally I was like, you know what? I'm going to get you a PlayStation so that we can play while you're in the hospital. Cause obviously we're not gonna be able to hang out as much as we could. All right, cool. So I bought him the PlayStation. One of the hardest things like I ever had to witness was I brought him the PlayStation and I couldn't even give it to him. Like I had to walk into a room, basically lay it down by the glass, see him. We touch the glass, like hand to hand on the glass, saying thank you. And I love you. I hope you're doing good. And then then he would take PlayStation, hang out, whatever. And we'd play, on PlayStation, which was really cool. Kind of helped him get through those times. It's a tough thing to do. Then as time was going on, I ended up having knee surgery. He was going through his transplant and all that stuff, his bone marrow transplant. And everything was going fairly well. We started playing our season. That's when we had all the injuries. I want to say it was like halfway through. I got told by his mom, she called and was like, hey, can you come to the hospital? This is probably going to be the last time we're going to see Briggs and we want to have you here. So I went in and I remember, one of his favorite players was LeBron James. And we talked about getting his autograph. We tried to get it from him. Dirk Nowitzki actually ended up getting it for me. Met with Ben Rogers up at the hospital, and we went up there, saw him, and we put the LeBron jersey onto his body while he was laying there. And one of the hardest things, like, to sit and witness was seeing his body there, and he's not like he's not responding. He's not, he's not opening his eyes. He's not doing anything. And I'll never forget like sitting there, and I remember very, very well. I don't know your faith. I don't know what, your views or anything like that, but I just really felt like right there, that's when like I knew that God was real, was because we sat in there and the whole time they had told us before going in, he's not opening his eyes. He's not really responsive, everything. And I just remember we held his hand, we were looking right at him. And, I remember he kind of opened his eyes as we were trying to talk to him. Now he wasn't like, I don't want you to think like he opened his eyes like how we are. It was just like, eyes are closed and you can see the pupils moving towards where we are, trying to figure out what's in here. And then we felt him squeeze our hands, because Ben told me too after we got done. He was like, he squeezed my hand. Did he squeeze yours? And we felt it. And it was like one of those so surreal things that you couldn't believe. And we said a prayer with him and walked out. And I just remember sitting there holding his mom, hugging her and hugging his dad, Everett. And it was just one of those things that it just like, it hit like really hard. And it was like, this is not something that a kid should be dealing with. I shouldn't have to experience this, and he should not be experiencing. His parents should not be dealing with these kind of things. He should be out there playing baseball, doing the things that, he wants to do. And he ended up getting past that. And I remember I was doing my rehab with my knee surgery, and I made my first start in Kansas City. And I remember talking to him and I said, hey man, just watch this game today. This one's for you. And I didn't even think about like, what's crazy is I've always wanted to ask other people this is, do you ever feel like there's pressure when you tell a kid like that, that's in the situation that he's in, watch this game, this one's for you? Do you feel like there's more pressure? You don't even think about it. Like, it was so, like, I was just there. Like, you weren't going to stop me no matter what. And I remember wrote his name on my hat, I don't think it was on my jersey, I'm not sure, my cleats and my glove. And I remember pitching against Kansas City, ended up going 8 innings. It was a great game. We won. And I remember talking to him after, and they said that he was very responsive. He was watching the game. He was excited. He was jumping around. It was like one of the coolest things ever. So I was pumped. And from there, I thought everything was going to go great. And everything was, we kept going for that whole month. It was basically September. It was the last month of the year. We're killing it. We're starting to come back alive, but we're out of the races, everything, but everything's going where it needs to give us some light. And I remember talking to him, everything seemed great. And then all of a sudden, his mom said that he decided one day to get out of his bed, took a spill, and I can't remember exactly the way it was, but he had a bruise basically from his mid to upper back, all the way down, like past his butt crack, I guess you could say, his tailbone. And that was when we kind of had a feeling something wasn't right. And so, everything started going south, and it happened quick. Like, it wasn't just something, this was like literally like 2 days and everything was just going south. And I remember pitching against Oakland, and I pitched another fairly good game, came out. And when I got out, I had John Daniels was standing around, and Blake Miller, one of our MLB security guys, and they were telling me about Briggs' situation. And I mean, this was, like I said, this was back in 2014. And I just remember them saying, like, hey, we've got a phone call from Deanna. They said Briggs isn't going to make it. We'll take care of the media. They'll understand. If you want to go be with the family, we're going to help you get to the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it was one of the hardest things to decide not to do, was not being there. Being able to sit here and talk about it has become a little bit easier, but it's still one of those things I think about to this day is, why didn't I go and say goodbye? It's one of those moments that I kind of wish I did. To this day, I'm still in touch with the family. I fly them out for every opening day. But unfortunately that after that game, Briggs had passed away that night. I honestly don't even know if I could have made it in time. I can't remember exactly, but I know he passed away, and I could have went to the funeral. I could have went to all that, but I didn't. I just couldn't do it, because it's like, you don't want to be saying goodbye to your friend.
Mm-hmm.
That's like, I mean, think about, losing a friend that's worked so hard to be where he was, and all of a sudden you can't even be there. Like, you don't have that power to be there to say goodbye, because you don't want to believe it's real. And then from there on, I just felt like I want to be able to continue his legacy, because one of the things that he would always tell me, and I get criticized for it all the time, is you got to be yourself, live your life to the fullest, be who you are. Don't try to be something that you're not, be you, be happy, be grateful. And, to this day, I've continued to keep his legacy alive by doing those things, and inspiring more people is, one of the things I always like to say, that I know that, he didn't say this exactly to me, but I know it's something that he would say, is we need to stop comparing ourselves to other people. Just compare ourselves to what we were the day before. Be better than what we were yesterday. So it was just one of those things that, it was, it's just, I don't know, it hits a lot harder. And from then on, I wanted to make sure I could make an impact with my platform to be able to go see kids and help them get through these tough times. I've dressed up as Batman and gone to the hospital multiple times. And what's cool is those kids have no idea that a baseball player is underneath them, or, whoever. They don't know who it is. They know it as Batman. And that's something that helps. And that, just that little bit, can take a kid so far during what they're going through, because they need, like, yes, they got their family, and this is not meant to sound in a bad way, but they need more support than just a family. They don't care who you are. They just want to see that somebody else believes in them. And, with that, I've made sure I've continued to do that, because of kids that are going through these times. It's not something that's easy. It's not something that they can just get through. At that age, we talk about the mental game. That's a strong mental game right there for these kids to do what they do and get through that, and not complain, like, try to continue to fight and go through those things. And one of the things that I was very happy about was I took my brother out. We went to the hospital when I was dressed up as Batman. So he was kind of escorting me around, and I got to see some raw emotion from him. And he's seen it from me multiple times, because he knows that I care about every single kid that I sit here and try to work with and help and get through these things. And it's it's different when you see it from somebody else. I mean, I could sit here and, if you started crying, I'd start crying too, because I see it, but you don't feel what I'm feeling. And I finally got him to experience it by, going to see these kids. And when he's hearing that, this little kid might not make it past Thanksgiving, and all of a sudden he's in there talking to him, and he realizes that, and that you see the family that's in there, and you see how the kid's reacting. And then all of a sudden you see how much joy you bring to him by coming in there, not knowing who's underneath the mask or who is just standing there. That, to me, is what has driven me to try to be the best I can with my foundation. Like that's what it's all about is, you know, I just want to be able to get kids through these tough times. And, you know, one little girl that I just got with, two of them actually, I should say, a little girl and a little boy, Adriana out of Fort Worth, she's cancer free now. Sawyer, another little boy that I had met when he was just a little kid. Now he's like, I think he was 4 or 5 maybe, and he's cancer free. And I got to meet him when he was just a little dude. So it's things like that. Like that is what inspires me and helps me realize like how grateful I am to be in the position I am and being able to help those that are going through these times, because this shit's not easy and it's not something that people can just do on their own. It's something that takes a team effort, and in life, everything is team effort. We got to work together as a team to help other people get through these situations. You know, if you want to relate it to sports, if I'm going through a slump, I'm going to need my teammates to be right there pushing me and helping me get through it and giving me that confidence. It's the same thing when these kids are going through these treatments. What can I do to help you not think about it, help you get through it and continue to have that fight? The one thing that we can never lose is that fight. And we got to continue to have that by pushing each other, motivating each other, and being there for each other, because we're one as a family. And that's why every time I've got to meet these kids and see what they're going through, it's been unreal to be able to build that relationship even after the fact, after they defeat cancer, continue that relationship.
Yeah, you couldn't have explained that any better. You know, when you mentioned your brother, you know, it takes, you know, those sick kids. It takes them from being, you know, a kid on the TV. It takes them to being a real person in front of you, and you get to see the struggle of that family and the child. You know, and I think that, you know, you getting to see that raw emotion. I think it's pretty rare, and I think it's incredible. It's, you know, you've gotten your family in on this, and they support you all the way.
Yeah,
Again, 60 feet 6 foundation.
yeah, 60feet6.org. You can check it out, be a part of it. The actual other story is on there too. I can actually say, like, I was making sure I didn't get too far into detail of the whole relation or the whole foundation, because it can be very raw for me and emotional, and it's very hard to sit and kind of visualize and see that, because it's something that I just don't want to have to experience. I want to be able to help kids get through those things, because it's hard. It's a very, very hard thing to experience. And until people realize that and get involved, like, they'll understand. Because what happens with a lot of people is, you know, not everybody does this, but a lot of people won't get involved until it affects them. And that's what I want to eliminate is, we don't need to be waiting until it affects them. Let's start making a difference now, so that when that does happen, if it does happen, we're already there for you, and we're going to help whoever it is get through those situations.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Well, Derek, that's all I got, man. Kyle, did you have anything else for Derek?
No, I appreciate it. It's kind of similar to one of our other friends, RDT from Barstool. He was really close with Mo Gabba. I'm not sure if he had a little special on him earlier today. He was a victim of childhood cancer and passed away a little while ago. And just hearing you guys talk about the emotion, like I said, we all got to be better and step up if we can in any way to help these kids out at any cost. You know, it's difficult what they're going through, but if we can make it a little bit better for them, that's what we got to do.
Well, the one thing I can say too is, you know, like, even with what you were just saying just now, is a kid can always throw out a smile, but we don't really know what's really behind that smile. We don't know if it's really a true happy smile, or is this hey, just, you know, I'm going through some stuff, but I'm going to just sell this to you.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's always good to do what we can and see if we can help out, no matter what the situation is.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Where can they find you on social media, Twitch, all that stuff? Where can our listeners find you?
If you guys want to check it out, you want to kick it with me on Twitch, it's Dutch_oven, I think, 45. And then Twitter is the same thing, Dutch_oven 45. Instagram is Dutch Oven 45. You can check those out. I'm fairly good, I should say, at responding. I try. But at the same time, if you really want to catch me and you really want to try to have a conversation with me, Twitch is probably going to be the easiest, because I respond fairly well on that. At least I feel like I do. And I also try to get everybody involved with the video games too. So if you'd like gaming, come kick it with me. We'll have some fun.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on. This is a great time.
I appreciate you guys having me.
Hey, man, take it easy.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.